Well, hello and welcome to our front yard garden here in the South Carolina upstate. We're in Greer, South Carolina, about halfway between Greenville and Spartanburg, and it is July 25th, 2025, and this is episode 22 already of our series showing off our garden, front yard and backyard, usually two videos back to back. It is a Friday morning around 10:30. Beautiful day, a few clouds, but no rain in sight, and it is supposed to be, I think, 94 for a high today. Right now it's about 88, so this is a good time to get the video in before it gets way hotter. And so we're going to get started. Now, as we always start in our mailbox bed here, really you're seeing the majority of the color right off the bat. The zinnias right now are kind of dominating the front yard, and that'll be the case probably for the rest of the year. These are all planted from seed. We put the seeds in coffee cups out on our back porch back in March or April, and they grew fairly quickly, and here they are, all of them about 3 feet high, or in some cases more. And if you like butterfly gardens, this is one of the best plants you can get, one of the best flowers you can get. Kind of hard to see with that breeze, but there are moths and butterflies all through this patch of flowers right now. You can see this one. I don't know much about entomology, so I can't tell you what kind of butterflies these are, but they're beautiful. We get a lot of dragonflies in our yard too because of the pond in the backyard, but we don't get them so much in the front yard. But we do get this particular species of butterfly. Got a couple of them right here, and lots of moths, and they just absolutely love these zinnias. Lots of different colors, as you can see, and pretty easy to grow, very low maintenance, and they'll keep blooming until really up until about the last frost, well into September and October. Now, in between all of those, we have a couple other things. A few phlox that are left. You can see those, the red and pink flowers. They're almost done for the year. There's not a lot more going on with those, but they're very pretty. And then, of course, our morning glories, and I got out here just in time to see these before they wilted in the sun. And they call them morning glories for a reason. That's when they bloom, and they're this beautiful purple color. And we have quite a few of them that have grown up and around this section of the yard. They're little kind of delicate vines will just show up all over the place. They don't cause any problems. They just put out all these flowers. And so we're going to move on up towards the house here and show off our little petite knockout rose, which usually struggles to some extent this time of year. It's not having a terrible time. It's just not putting a lot of flowers out. Now, I have not deadheaded it. It's just been kind of time consuming, but despite that, it is putting out a lot of new roses. It really peaks in the early and mid-spring when it's just covered with roses, just like all of our knockout roses. But right now it's just kind of trying to survive all the heat of the summer. Here we have our next patch of zinnias, probably even a little bit bigger than in the mailbox bed. And in amongst all of those, we have liatris, which is this tall stalk of flowers. They're pretty much done now. We're still seeing a little bit of purple color on those last week when we did this video, but they're pretty much done now. And these were just bulbs. You can buy them anywhere. Frequently the big box stores will have these. You put them in. We put these in 2 or 3 years ago, and I think we just had a handful, and they've really spread out nicely throughout this area. So those have been really nice. And otherwise, we have some dianthus down there on the ground, but they're not really doing anything right now. We do have quite a few of these black-eyed Susans. These have just spread on their own. We did not plant them up here in the front yard. We had a lot of them in the back, but they have made a home here in the front, and they're doing very well. Also have dahlias here. At the moment, none of them are in bloom, but the plants themselves are doing well, and we should get some more flowers at some point. What else do we have? We have the Russian sage. It's not certainly not an impact flower. It has these delicate little purple flowers on them, but they're a nice addition if you like English cottage gardening. And then behind all of that is this climbing rose. I always call this Old Faithful. Every year it kind of struggles with the leaves and black spot, but it'll put new leaves out, and a lot of the leaves that you see now have just come out in the last month. But it continues, despite its other struggles, to put out these beautiful red flowers, and I think this will be healthier in years to come since we finally stabilized the trellis up against the wall. And we do have other climbing roses here, but they have not been as prolific. I probably will cut those back next year and see if they do a little bit better. Otherwise, as we move over this way, not a lot going on over here in the shade. This is primarily a spring part of the garden. I did a little bit of cutting back last week. We had some weeds growing up through these, and a lot of dead growth. I need to do some more cutting back, but these hydrangeas have not done as well in the past year or two as they were doing initially when we put them in, and it's, I think, largely because this Japanese maple has gotten larger and larger, so these are not getting a whole lot of sun. This was a good place to put them in 4 or 5 years ago, but now not necessarily such a good spot. And I would say kind of a similar thing here. Now these don't get any more sun than the others, but they are all doing better. I don't think the soil is significantly different over here, but these have gotten quite a bit bigger, and they're a little more prolific. So what else do we have? We have certainly have our holly. I tend to forget our holly bush a lot of the times. It gets these bright red berries in the late winter, early spring, and they've been there now for quite a while. I guess the birds like to eat them, but they're just kind of hanging on for the time being, at least. And then we have our little citrus garden up here, our 4 small lemons. Got these for about 15 bucks a piece at I think Home Depot. They were on sale, and they look very healthy. They don't have much of a root system, but regardless, I've gotten these 2 lemons that you can see here growing. One is about 4 inches long, and the other one is about 3 inches long. Those are the only fruit that I have gotten out of this entire patch of plants in about 4 or 5 years. Got this orange tree here. The tree itself is pretty healthy. Lemon tree over here, which has had some problems, especially over the winter. It was too heavy to cart back and forth when we were getting a lot of cold, and so I just left it out here, and it did kind of struggle, but we've gotten a lot of new growth on it, new growth coming out even now, so it is not dead, but neither of these bigger plants have really done anything in terms of flowers, so I doubt that'll change. But these smaller ones, these Meyer lemons, are really bred to be pretty prolific in terms of fruit. So right now there are no flowers. I don't know what their schedule will be moving forward, but at least I've got a couple lemons growing there, and I'm really excited about that. Coming back through here, as I say, this is primarily spring garden territory. We have, pretty much everything is done, but we did have Asiatic lilies through here, and gladiolus through here. We put these bulbs in back in February in our first video of the season, And then behind those are, well, there's one camellia and, or I'm sorry, a gardenia, which is done for the year, and then a pretty good sized viburnum. We've also got some more viburnum over here and azaleas. Right now they're not really doing much. We'll get some color on the azaleas later in the fall, but right now they're just sort of hanging tight for the summer. And a couple of hydrangeas here. These have passed their prime. Not really doing too much. And then of course our hostas. We've got a lot of irises, all spring stuff, and our one butterfly bush in the front yard. Not completely finished for the year, but it's just about done. It still has a few little purple flowers on it, but not a lot. And then again, some more irises and our knockout roses. These really go crazy in the springtime, but at this point, unless I get out here and deadhead all of them, we're really not going to get too much more in terms of flowers, because of seed pods like that. When they get fertilized, they get these huge seed pods, and then they the plant just puts all its energy into that instead of putting it into more flowers. So not a lot to see here. And one thing I have tended to forget a little bit, because I'm always looking down at the garden, but looking up is one thing that is particularly nice here in the Carolinas are these crepe myrtle trees, and they are everywhere here in the upstate. They give you these beautiful, beautiful bright pink flowers in usually about midsummer. They've really come out in the last couple of weeks, so I would say, really early summer, technically early July, and then they'll continue through the end of August. And our neighbors have a lavender one over here. You can kind of see. I actually have two of them. And then there are white ones, and then there's sort of a pink color. So there's really about 4 different ones that we've identified here in the area. And they're low maintenance. The only problem with them, if you're interested in getting a crepe myrtle, they tend to grow pretty quickly. And in fact, we don't do anything with ours. Ours is a pretty good sized one. There are some that are absolutely huge. Our neighbor cuts his back to just the stumps and main branches every year, and all of this still comes out. So there is that option, and that way you can keep them from getting overly big. The biggest problem that you have, though, if you plant it in the middle of a garden, and these were, this tree was here when we moved in, is that it puts out these sprouts. It has an extensive root system, and you have to keep cutting these things back. I have not done that recently. I did it back in the spring, but they just keep coming up, and you have to stay on top of them. So one other thing, I have never really talked about this before, but since we don't have a lot of flowers to talk about, I figured it's not a bad idea to maybe mention this. We do have ground lighting on our trees, at least the major ones that go on at night, and you can do just about anything that you want with ground lighting. This one fell over. That doesn't help anything. Let's get that back on track. There we go. You can get, as I have done, pretty inexpensive lights from any of the box stores. I mean, I got mine at Home Depot. You can go to Lowe's. You can go to Walmart. There's all kinds of ground lighting out there, as little as $10 a piece for individual lights. We've got them on, as I say, 4 of our major trees. The Japanese maple, this one over here has a light, and they give a nice effect. It just kind of makes the house look a little bit warmer, a little more secure too. It kind of gives passersby the feeling that you're there. And then we have little walk lights here. Now these I got at the dollar store for $1.25 a piece, and they have worked pretty well. Now I don't know how long they're going to last. I'm sure they won't last terribly long, but I put a grand investment of about $15 into these, and they look really nice. Even if I have to replace them every year, it's cheaper than a lot of the alternatives. Now certainly you can go whole hog and get bright lights on the house itself. When you have a lot of bushes like this, it's a little more difficult, but that is certainly more expensive as well. We had that at our house over in Ohio, and it was a nice effect, but it was pricey, and you just kind of have to decide what your goal is. We wanted something sort of subtle and not overwhelming. You don't want to be seeing lights from outside and you're inside your house at night. And this combination has worked really well for us. We're going to finish up with our oval bed here. Got a couple of roses. I'm not sure what our little bug friend there. I'm sure if he's a little grasshopper or what. Probably a grasshopper. We haven't had any roses out of that particular one for a while. We've got our dahlia here. It's trying to put out a few little flowers. Unfortunately, this one has struggled really throughout its existence. Every time it gets a lot of buds on it, they tend to do this. They get black and crispy. I don't know if it's a parasite or nutritional problem, but I'm not good at troubleshooting those kinds of things. This is something that we get frequently because we're right near Greenville-Spartanburg Airport. Large jets going over, sometimes 747s even. But anyway, we've got some nice pink phlox here, kind of hiding back amongst everything else. And then, of course, more zinnias. Now, these are smaller flowers compared to the others that we've seen elsewhere in the front yard that are a little bit larger. And then behind all those are three big knockout roses, red, pink, and coral. They peak in the spring, and then the rest of the year they're just kind of hanging out. And over here, this stuff is all pretty much done. We've talked about Monarda a lot. They're all done now. And what else? Asiatic lilies, gladiolas. All this stuff is pretty well finished up. So that is it for our front yard. And honestly, for the next couple of months, most of our front yard garden is going to be more of the same. Lots of zinnias, black-eyed Susans, probably through about Labor Day. And then things will start to wind down. But it's still a pretty garden, lots of bugs to look at. And we're going to do our backyard garden here in just a moment. And we've got a little different mix back there. So definitely stay tuned and watch that one as well. And hope it's sunny wherever you are. And until next time, happy gardening.